Hi, and welcome to All the Woo A to Z. We're your hosts, Suzanne.
And Mychal, and this is season 2. Hello, I'm Mychal, and I went and got acupuncture today.
I'm Suzanne, and I have been also using pins, but stitching sequins to fabric,
So in clothes, not in
not
you.
sewing people. Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
And this is All the Woo,
A to Z.
and this is Z for
Zen.
Zen. As always, we invite you to join us at our non-judgmental table where we share our own experiences, understandings, and all of that.
And at the very least, we hope you're entertained by them.
Yes.
So thanks for being here.
Thank you. Okay.
We have a very special drink today.
Yes. So today we are having the Brown Estate Napa Zinfandel. It is a 2023
So y'all get it. Zen and Zen.
Zen. Zen. The Zen of Zen. Sorry, that's way too many times now. The reason why I chose this was because recently I had the pleasure of speaking with two of the family members of Brown Estate there's 3 siblings who operate the winery. However, 2 of them are involved in the winemaking process. So one of the sisters, Coral Brown, she is the director of winemaking. And then vineyard manager and winemaker, David Brown, the brother. And in this conversation, this is what made me think about, outside of the alliteration of that, was that Zinfandel in particular has a certain quality over a lot of other grapes where it's more about a feeling. They talk about that a lot of other grapes, especially even in the vineyard when you're deciding when is the right time to pick, that it's more of an analysis that you're going, like a scientific analysis, that you're taking it, you're testing it. And they said that Zinfandel is very different. It's not like that. It's more like a feeling. Zinfandel is more of a feeling, not only in the enjoyment of it, but in the making of it and in the growing of it through all different.
So Zinfandel is woo.
It is. Yes, it is kind of woo, to be honest with you. I could get way more into this, but this whole episode would be that then. So we'll just leave it at that.
A different bonus episode somewhere.
Yes, exactly. So that's our pairing for today.
Quite delicious.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mychal, how do you get your Zen on? What does Zen mean to you other than that Zen in this moment?
Are you saying Zen or Zen? I'm hearing now, is it just Zen? Sorry.
I'm saying all of them, actually, just alternating. So, however you want to take it, however many Z's with an E versus Z's with an I you want to use.
Well, okay, so let's stick with Zen because we are on a time limit a little bit here. What's interesting is, in order to prep for this episode, I was thinking to myself, well, I know what I think or how I think of Zen, but what does it actually mean to somebody who's a Buddhist or, right, somebody that you would attribute that phrase specifically to?
Someone who this is their language.
Correct, right?
As opposed to co-opted by, us.
And what I thought was interesting is that so many videos, responses were so different that people actually mentioned Zen in your interpretation of that is exactly that. It's an interpretation of.
It's a feeling.
It's a feeling. And even when people say, oh, that's very Zen, what they're referring to is the calmness. And I actually ended up listening to an interview with somebody who is, I believe, a Buddhist monk who was giving their own interpretation. Even they were having a little bit of difficulty putting into words. But I thought it was a really great description in that they were saying the practice of Zen is how you flow through life, that it's more about the practice of, my favorite word, breath, but also just the flow of life
Mhm.
and how the mind can disrupt that. So it's the mindfulness
Mhm.
of the flow and not allowing that mental chatter to cause chaos in whatever is going on. So I think a lot of times when people, especially myself, when I think of somebody who's very zen, I feel that that person is in a neutral place where they're
Mhm.
not being wrapped up by anything really that's going on around. They're the eye of the storm. They're not the
Mhm.
storm.
Mhm.
What I think would be the better way of describing it. How about you?
So my idea of Zen is more, this is gonna be so weird, but, you know,
We're gonna go with it.
anybody who's read my stuff knows that this is how my brain works, is more like agates.
The stone.
Mhm.
Okay.
So they have all the bands of color.
Mm-hmm.
So but if they were actually moving, if they were active,
Mm-hmm.
so all of those bands of color. So to me, that movement, that dance
Mm-hmm.
of all the colors and all of the shapes, just constantly kaleidoscoping into different forms and different energy signatures, for lack of a better term, is Zen,
Mm-hmm.
is being able to flow.
Mm-hmm.
But I see it less as a scene outside and more like those agates
Mm-hmm.
being liquid.
Okay.
So, yeah.
No, that makes sense. It's basically
But picking a thread to be like, okay, I want to be that gold line.
mhm,
And then just as, the blue and the green and the black and the whatever move and shift, to just be moving and shifting with them. And y'all can't see this, gentle listener, perhaps you can hear it, but I am just like being the agate.
she's snaking her hands, snaking them in different directions and swaying. Yes.
But that's really what it is to know that you are part of everything that's
Mhm.
happening, and you are a very significant part of everything that's happening,
Mhm.
and your participation is the participation. Like in the Kabbalists have a saying that any individual is so important to the functioning of the world that if you were not here, the world itself would be destroyed.
Mhm.
And kind of that idea that we are all, each of us, so incredibly significant, because if any one of those threads is not there,
Mhm.
then that agate doesn't have the same dimension, the same complexity, can't go the same places, can't flow like it needs to. So, although I realize that there's probably a lot of people who are going, wait a minute, so an agate is a rock, but she's talking about a rock being liquid.
Yes. Liquid rock.
But considering my last book was entirely in a world of lava, this should make complete sense.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'm feeling very important right now, so thank you.
Yeah, but I think it's that recognition of, not only are you the most important person in the world, but everyone is the most important person in the world, and our job is to each both be the most important person and embrace everyone who is the most important person.
Mhm.
And if we all did that, so the crazy analogy I'm going to use is one of the beauties of traffic in Cairo,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
which is so
Chaos.
much madness.
It is chaos.
However, they don't have fender benders really,
They don't. And it's
because
amazing.
and they're like 3 inches from each other, and there's camels on the road, and there's,
You can touch the person in the other car from your car.
12,
Just poke their arm.
because they don't
Hey,
actually observe the highway lines. They just put as many cars
were
as
there lines? I didn't even see lines. I'm sure there probably are, but I didn't see them as
you
existing.
can put 2 cars in one of those.
Yeah.
Anyway, all of this to say is every Egyptian driver knows that the only part of the car that they pay attention to
Mhm.
is the front of their car.
Yes.
But because everyone knows the only part of your car you pay attention to is the front of your car, then you're all the people behind you are protecting the back of your car by virtue
Mhm.
of protecting the front of their car. The people beside you, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So everybody is working to protect everyone else while they're still I mean, I've thought about the genius of that
Mhm.
so many times, especially sitting in Dallas traffic. But yeah.
I'm just gonna also say, 'cause I asked somebody when I was there about it, how does this work? Because I think that I am a pretty good driver. I can drive a lot of places. Like I can drive in New York City, I can drive in Chicago, downtown traffic, which I think is quite a feat. I can do it in a stick shift. Feel pretty accomplished as a driver, okay? I look at the driving there. I cannot figure out how. And also, I mean,
Just
there's
getting across the street
exactly
is
is
so
you're
challenging.
holding your life in your hands.
Like, do we really need to go there? Can't we find another way? Yeah.
Yeah. There's not really, I'm sure there's crosswalks, but not that I really noticed.
Observed is maybe the significant
Yeah,
parts. There are
lightly
crosswalks.
suggested.
Are they observed? Yes.
Correct. I definitely, so I keep on backtracking, but when I was there, when we had some time to ourselves, our tour guides actually said, if you want to go visit the city, this is when we were in Luxor, you are going to have to cross the street. If
Oh,
you
and
do
Luxor,
that,
that's not even as bad as
as Cairo, and still they said,
look all the ways.
go with us. Like, if you're going to do this, let us know and we will get you across the street, or just be very, very careful because it's very difficult to do. It's basically what they said, because it wasn't just a 2-lane street.
No.
It's about 6+ lanes. It was a really wide
Mhm.
street. So,
And those were
anyway,
the suggested lanes. So
right.
there were probably 10 lanes really.
And I asked somebody who had driven in that traffic before, asking, they said, actually, no, it's really easy. And I said, huh? What? Their explanation was is that there are rules to it, like you're saying, that you pay attention to the front of your car, and also knowing that everybody else is paying attention to the front of your car too. So if you're trying to maneuver across,
Mhm.
that's what I thought was going to be the hardest thing. If I'm on the right side, I need to get over to the left side. How in the world am I going to do that? There's no openings in order for that to happen. And they said that if you're just even an inch, if your bumper is just an inch in front of the other car's bumper and you need to move over, you can start to move over and you do have the right, and they will let you in. And it's not like the person who's letting you in is pissed off
Right.
that you cut them off, right?
Right.
There's no yelling and screaming. It's just,
This is the
okay,
way we
this,
cross.
and this is how it flows, right?
Mhm.
I thought that was really interesting. That's way too much to spend on Cairo traffic. I'm sorry.
But I think that that is a great analogy for, like, how we can all work together
Hmm.
in reality. So, that was
And we're done. Just kidding.
but I would say, what are some of the Zen moments in every day? So that's the big overarching idea of Zen. Although you didn't actually talk about your Zen, you talked about the research that you did.
Yes. I feel like I have a personal story
Mhm.
about how the where I experienced it the most.
Mhm.
And I've actually been wondering how I would fit this into our podcast the entire time that we've had it. So I've been holding on to
Oh,
this story,
wow.
everybody.
And you buried the lead. Okay, go.
It just popped into my mind as this would actually be perfect to share the story now, because it makes sense other than this thing happened. So this was at a time when I was studying with the school and studying metaphysics, and I was going through all the mental concentration exercises every day, 2+ hours of homework just on concentration and memory. So there you go, right? That's a lot of mental discipline. Eventually, I started to gain this ability or this feeling when I would meditate, where I'd start to feel this feeling of bliss while meditating. Mind you, it took me quite some time to get this feeling. Oftentimes, it was just sitting there and being like, okay, how much time do I have in order to make sure that I did the time that I needed to do, right?
Mhm.
And eventually, I'd want to hang out more because I'd start to have this feeling where I'd start to get kind of the butterflies, where you just
Mhm.
feel all good and
Mhm.
bubbly and ooh. And it started just in meditation, but then it started to expand into regular life after I was done meditating. And the experience in regular life was, it was really kind of cool.
Mhm.
At its height, it was the feeling of butterflies. You know, when you fall in love with somebody and you're just so giddy and
Mhm.
so, right, you feel so good. That was the feeling. And
Mhm.
instead of it being that I was in love with somebody else, it was that I was in love with me and that
Awesome.
that's how I felt.
Mhm.
And I also then, because the way that I meditate, I do things with my energy and expanding my aura and all that, that I could see one of the experiences that I have when I meditate. I have to translate out so that you can understand what it was like to feel this in
Mhm.
normal interactions with people. Is my eyes are closed, but I can still see and feel the entire room around me, and I become a part of the room.
Mhm.
So I feel large and I feel small all at the same time.
Mhm.
And so I don't just see things, I can feel everything that is
Mhm.
around me. So in normal, with outside of the meditation, I would continue to feel this.
Mhm.
And so I could feel my energy in a whole space, but that also meant that I could feel your energy and how your energy would move into mine. And I could
Mhm.
see how this is where the Zen part comes in, that I could maintain my calm and my flow and still hold that and all the feelings that I just described.
Mhm.
And you could come at me being really pissed off and
Mhm.
having a really, really bad day. And instead of me taking it on, I could sit there with you and I could embrace your energy and
Mhm.
see it and understand it and feel it, but not have it be a part of me,
Mhm.
and have compassion for where you are in that moment
Mhm.
and also see the bigger picture. It allowed me to expand beyond and see it from a higher perspective.
Mhm.
And it is still to this day something that I am trying to capture again.
Mhm.
I only got to experience this for, I can't even tell you how long, maybe a month.
Mhm.
And then some things went really south in my life that really tested the Zen part of me. And I've been working to recapture that ever since. So now that is my carrot on a stick for why
Uh-huh.
I need to meditate every day as much as I do. But that, I'd have to say, is the closest that I've come to that total feeling of, I think that that could be categorized as Zen,
Sure.
right? There's my story. I'm done.
Thank you for sharing your beautiful story.
Thank you. See?
I feel like that was a mic drop moment.
And no, yeah. No, sorry.
No, don't. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
So, yeah,
Are you not, you don't, okay.
I don't seriously,
That is it.
that's beautiful. How do
Okay.
you became part of the one mind? I mean, if I want to go back to my books, but
Mhm.
that's what it really is, of being able to feel and sense everything with compassion. And I think maybe one of the things that I want more than a traditional sort of Zen idea of non-involvement or neutral
Mhm.
is, I'm like, no, I want to feel awe.
Mhm.
And so for me, it's more about, let me get to the point of awe. And so I, the whole agate thing is big. I've had the idea, but I was at the mall the other day, like you
Mhm.
do, and the mall is a pretty ugly place right now. And there was one store that I walked in and I was like, y'all have the last beautiful things left on the planet.
You mean visually?
Yeah. Yeah. And they had a two-piece outfit, and it was silk
Mhm.
and it was agates. So
Mm.
the whole thing were giant pieces of agate turned into print
Mhm.
on silk, so it moved.
Nice.
So it was kind of like, this is so beautiful, and I'm not going to actually purchase it because, I have a mortgage instead. But I can put it on and
Mm-hmm.
have that experience and feel it on me
Mm-hmm.
and just bring my awareness to be that thread of gold that's sort of swishing and moving and all of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think, gentle listener, maybe the upshot of this is find the place where you have the feeling of what you want to feel
Mm-hmm.
and then figure out the map to get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you want to, you can meditate more. That would be a reason to meditate more.
Yeah, for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Yeah. I'm not saying you have to. I'm just.
I highly recommend the Ziva method if you haven't done it before.
All right. So we're getting down to the last few letters, Suzanne.
I know.
I think we just have 2 more left.
We do.
Okay. So what is our second to last episode for the season going to be?
The penultimate letter,
Mm-hmm.
we have a L
L.
for Yama. What is woo about Yamas? No, that's a joke. I mean, I'm sure there is something, but I don't know what.
Lola.
So we will see you next time.
On All the Woo.
A to Z.